The fate of ADOR CEO Min Hee-jin remains in limbo, as the Seoul Central District Court has yet to rule on the injunction she seeks to stop Hybe from exercising its voting rights during a shareholders' meeting come May 31st on her leadership. Welcome to Friday's edition of Issues and Insiders. I'm Min Sunhee. The legal battle between the head of the label ADOR and its parent company Hybe continues. And for more on the latest events, I have Yun Seokchun, a partner at Pizza and Kim, live on the line. Seokchun, thank you for making time to join us live.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Right, Seokchun, let's begin with the latest developments on the legal front regarding the dispute between ADOR CEO Min Hee-jin and parent company Hybe.
Yes, the saga officially started with Ms. Min holding a press conference on 25th of April, which received the national attention. The next day, Hybe filed a criminal complaint against her for breach of trust on 26th of April. The allegation was that Ms. Min, the CEO of ADOR, tried to steal the corporate control of ADOR. Thereafter, a shareholders meeting has been scheduled on 31st of May, during which dismissal of the CEO will be decided. In response, Ms. Min applied to the court for a preliminary injunction prohibiting Hybe, the absolute majority shareholder with 80%, from casting any vote on the dismissal proposal. Last week, on 17th of May, a hearing was held at the Seoul Central District Court. At the hearing, largely Min's claim was that Hybe cannot exercise its vote because, allegedly, the shareholders' agreement, this is the contract that sets up the shareholders' rights and obligations, provides that she would have a 5-year term of office as representative director of ADOR, and thus Hybe is prevented from casting any vote to remove her before the 5-year term lapses, approximately until the end of 2026. Hybe's counter-argument at the hearing was that the CEO committed unlawful acts, among others, by allowing a stylist to commit embezzlement, try to steal corporate control, and damage the enterprise value of ADOR by holding the press conference and putting forward adverse allegations. The company also mentioned Min's alleged consulting assignment. According to Hybe, under the circumstances, its vote to dismiss the CEO should be allowed, regardless of the term provision in the shareholders' agreement. The court instructed further arguments to be submitted by the parties by 24th of May today. It is expected that the court's decision will be rendered before the shareholders' meeting next Friday.
Right. And against that backdrop, Seokchun, NewJeans members, for their part, they've filed a petition in support of Min Hee-jin. How does this reality look to affect the court's decision, do you think?
So as the petition letters are not publicly available, it is hard to tell what the contents of the letters are. That said, the court will consider the legal argument put forward by the parties and relevant evidence adduced before it from the perspective of legal requirements to grant the preliminary injunctions are met. Based on the parties' positions at the hearing, as mentioned, it appears the core issues will be whether there has been any breach of the shareholders' agreement so as to justify Ms. Min's dismissal, and the decision will be dependent upon if the CEO effectively damaged the company's value inappropriately or committed any conduct serious enough to cast doubt on her capability to run the company. If the contents in the petition letters submitted by the NewJeans members contain something that is favorable or unfavorable to Ms. Min, from the above-mentioned perspective, it will be considered by the court in forming its decision. If not, the court is not expected to put an emphasis on the letters.
Right. What events can we envision following the court's decision, which, as you said, would come before the shareholders' meeting on the 31st of May?
So if the preliminary injunction is granted, Hybe, the absolute majority shareholder with 80% of the votes, will be prohibited from casting its vote at the shareholders' meeting. Out of the remaining 20%, 18% are owned by Ms. Min, the CEO, and only 2% are owned by other minor shareholders. Therefore, the proposal to dismiss Ms. Min as the CEO of ADOR is expected to be rejected because she would vote nay. In contrast, if the application is dismissed, then Hybe will be able to cast its vote when, as expected, Hybe votes in favor of the dismissal proposal the legal requirements of 2/3 of the votes and 1/3 of the whole shareholders to dismiss the CEO will be satisfied, and the CEO will be dismissed. There are expected to be other changes in the board of directors as well, if this is the scenario. An appeal to the preliminary injunction decision seems to be ineffective, as the shareholders' meeting is only a week away. Practically, there is no possibility of the appellate court rendering its decision before that date. Of course, there are further legal routes. The losing party can dispute the result thereafter, for example, by attempting to vacate the resolution retrospectively and or seeking damages whose probability of success is, again, hard to tell at this juncture.
Seokchun, in a fresh twist to the ongoing legal dispute between Min Hee-jin and Hybe, ILLIT's label has sued Min for defamation. Could you give us some background information about this particular suit and, of course, your thoughts on how that legal battle will unfold?
Yes, as you mentioned, Sunny, 2 days ago, Belief Lab, the label where ILLIT is belonged, filed a criminal complaint that Ms. Min for obstruction of business and defamation. It is yet to be seen if ADOR or Ms. Min, in counter effect, will file a responsive criminal complaint for violation of IP rights or file a lawsuit in a civil court seeking injunction prohibiting Belief Lab from using choreography and concepts or seeking damages. In principle, mere concepts and ideas are not entitled to protection under the Copyright Act. However, in case of choreography, it is protected under the Copyright Act, and ILLIT's performance might be prohibited if and only if their performance is actually repetition of NewJeans'. On the other hand, ILLIT will likely have a legal defense if their performance is not entirely identical. Of course, I'm not in a position to comment on which is the case.
Right, of course. Seokchun, the hiring also of an entertainment dispute lawyer by the parents of NewJeans appears to have sparked a bit of speculation about a potential legal confrontation between NewJeans and its parent company, Hybe. What are your thoughts?
So according to the media, the lawyer for the parents of NewJeans members denied the allegation that he was retained in preparation for the dispute challenging their contract with the company or seeking termination of the contract. The lawyer said he was merely retained to facilitate the parents submitting their own petition letters in the preliminary injunction proceedings. However, it still remains to be seen what actions the members of NewJeans will take if Ms. Min will have to step down as the CEO and there is a different leadership at the company.
Right, I see. So we'll just have to wait and see then. All right, Seokchun, thank you so much for the legal update on the dispute between ADOR CEO Min Hee-jin and Hybe.
Thank you.
Right, up next we speak with a pundit about the broader implications of the dispute between ADOR CEO Min Hee-jin and Hybe on the K-pop industry as a whole. For this, I have Stephanie Chair, the Asia Research Institute at the University at Buffalo. Stephanie, it's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Now, contrary to concerns, the conflict between the head of its label and its parent company does not appear to be affecting NewJeans' popularity, Stephanie. How do you explain this fortunate reality?
The K-pop fan base enhanced their solidarity by supporting their groups. So the more hardship the group has, the bigger solidarity the fans offer. So this is ironically a perfect timing for NewJeans and its fans to show their solidarity. And this will generate another form of spectacle, which will eventually bring more popularity to the group.
Right, that is good to know then. Stephanie, NewJeans releases a new double single titled How Sweet Today. It's a hip-hop style that is a new venture, I believe, for the group itself. What response do you anticipate from the fans?
So there has been so many rumors surrounding the current situation, and fans started to generate new conspiracy theories on the past music videos. So after all, it's not just about music, it's not just about the visuals, it's not just about the lyrics, but it's the meta-narrative that determines the reception of the new song. So I look forward to seeing how fans will interpret and respond to the new release.
Stephanie, keeping in mind the legal dispute between ADOR CEO Min Hee-jin and the parent company Hybe, what do you believe would be the fate of NewJeans in the absence of Min's leadership and creative direction? Hypothetically speaking, of course.
So first of all, I would like to make it clear that this is not, this is not about K-pop artists always having little agency or having limited decision-making opportunities in the industry, because it really depends on which stage of career they're in. So if this kind of similar situation happened in the 7th or 10th year of their idol career, then they wouldn't be impacted this much. But since they have just debuted a couple of years ago, their color, the concept, the music visuals, and eventually the group's orientation will be greatly impacted by the decisions made by the company. So it'll depend on whether who will become the director of the group for the next few years.
Right. And Stephanie, focusing a bit more on the group itself, as you mentioned, it's relatively young, and yet it has managed to secure a very strong fan base here in Korea and overseas. This is an impromptu question, but Stephanie, how would you explain NewJeans' popularity?
I think they really represent the MZ, Gen Z trend. Their music really is based on the easy listening. There's no, the music progression that you used to see from the previous generation, but it's more like it can be easily added to the background music and on social media posts. So they're enjoying worldwide popularity. I've seen them having lots of audiences in Chicago last year, and I also am personally a fan of NewJeans, so I look for their world tour in the future, and hopefully come to Buffalo as well.
Right, hopefully. Fingers crossed for that. Stephanie, broadly speaking, how does the latest legal dispute between Min Hee-jin and Hybe look to affect perhaps the K-pop industry as a whole?
Yes, some say the main point here is the legal outcome, but at the same time, there are so many rumors surrounding the issue, and fans are taking sides, supporting each party based on which favorite idol group they support. We need to see why this is happening. So broadly speaking, the K-pop industry is not just about legal outcomes, but it is about generating a sense of intimacy, which results in the album sales and other economic outcomes. So in the end, this issue is about whether creative directors remain simply as company employees, or will be served and respected more as artistic creators who can claim ownership over their creative outcomes.
Do you suppose that the industry itself needs to do more to perhaps better protect its creative directors, as well as, of course, the idols themselves?
Yeah, if you look at the way fans consume K-pop productions, they not only look at their idols, but they always look through the list of what kind of people these idols work with. So fans are very much familiar with who the choreographer is, the artistic director, the visual director, the music video director. So they all know that this is a collaboration of hundreds of thousands of people in one single, and in that sense, I think they do, non-idol creators also have brand values in this industry.
Right. Stephanie, K-pop entertainment as a whole, including, of course, music, movies and dramas, it's been enjoying quite a bit of popularity across the globe in recent years. Speaking within your capacity, of course, as a scholar, what are your thoughts with regard to its popularity? Where do you suppose the reason lies?
The K-pop in general?
Yes.
Community bonding, definitely. Fans generate a very strong sense of solidarity within the fan community, and it's really grounded upon the competition based on the weekly television music chart shows. So I find the similarity between the K-pop world and the political world, where you take part and support one particular idol group or one particular party or a candidate and support for them.
Stephanie, would you say access to Korean culture is quite straightforward, easy in Buffalo, or can the government here do more to ensure that those people interested in K-pop or K-entertainment as a whole in Buffalo have greater access to Korean culture? Do you have a lot of resources there?
Resources-wise, there are definitely lots of fans. Resources-wise, I'm not sure about that. Our university tries to offer K-pop courses. I've been offering K-pop course last year and then this year as well. And then there's also K-pop Club, which is also supported by the university. But at the same time, you know, personally, I think we need more resources, especially in terms of language barrier. The university offers Korean language courses, but more generally, I think the government could work on that too.
Right. A growing number of pundits, of course, Stephanie, has spoken about the presence of room for improvement with regard to investments in making access to Korean language a bit more greater, that is. Beyond the legal concerns, Stephanie, back to our legal dispute then. Hybe, as a company, it's now joining the ranks of conglomerates. What do you believe are the broader implications of this reality?
So as Hybe becomes a conglomerate, they will be under more strict regulations by the government. But at the same time, they will come up with more sustainable system within the company, which will again serve as a standard for the rest of the K-pop industry. So in that sense, it'll be important how Hybe will resolve the current issue with ADOR.
Right. Hopefully they'll come up to an amicable solution then. All right, Stephanie, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts today.
Thank you.
Right. Well, that ends this week's editions, that is, of Issues and Insiders. Have a great weekend and see you same time next Monday.